Thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you.
When the sun rises on a new season, you're naturally filled with optimism. The anticipation of what was coming and what it would take to really get the job done just has you brimming over at this point. Gearing up to go hunt with one of my best friends, Dave Highsmith, and some other good folks from my day job had me itching to hit the road. But driving through beautiful western Kentucky had me pondering what kind of adventure I was really in for at Longbeards and Whitetails. Were they going to have turkey everywhere, or would it be a ghost town? Would it be freezing cold, rainy, or just right? Would I be able to do it myself, or would they have to help me the whole way? The further I drove, the more questions I had. It wasn't long into my first sit that afternoon before I saw just how much wildlife I'd be around. Having still not harvested my first longbeard, one particular tom caught my attention. He seemed to be the only guy running with a big group of hens. No call, influence, or group of deer was going to keep him from roosting with those ladies. The more I watched him, the more intrigued I became. I'd been exposed to the fun you could have chasing one deer, but one turkey? I don't know. I just knew this wasn't the sit. My buddy Highsmith, though, had picked his spot well and was in tight on the action from the get-go, to say the least. First, he could almost touch him. Then he had him on the roost, and finally, he got his chance.
Happened to look up and his thumb came in on a freaking string. It wasn't 10, 12 yards. I hit him. I just don't know. Hell, I don't know if that's our end. Know if it's a good hit or not. If it's not, he's not gonna sleep well. If it is, he's laying up here in a field. Unbelievable hunt either way. No disappointment. We'll keep you posted.
After slowing it down and seeing he had hit center mass, we took to the blood trail. After almost 2 hours with our face to the ground, we had very little blood and no turkey to show for it. With plenty of time still in camp, Highsmith was sure we'd find him eventually, but we had to keep grinding out some hunts. So the next morning, we got back on the horse, and I had one gobbler on the roost and the same one on the brain.
First morning, second hunt. Had an awesome encounter with a gobbler, gobbling at me from the roost. Just did a couple soft yelps, left him alone a little bit. He flew down. He gobbled at me for 20 minutes. Flew down, and I think he's henned up on the other side of this field and not responded to anything. So bang on the call every 15 minutes or so and see if I can get this guy to come this way. We'll see.
If I was going to wrap my tag around this guy, I was going to have to think outside the box. So Highsmith and I tag teamed. I hunted the fence row the gobbler had been strutting, while Dave took my spot. And that was when the games truly began. The cat and mouse started, and this bird knew exactly what it would take to keep us on the hook. Just when that fella got in range, a low-flying plane flew by, and so did my chances for the day. I couldn't help but feel a little dejected, a little down, just a little bummed out. And I decided not to pressure that bird the next morning and went somewhere else. But all I could think about was teaching myself how to call, and sighting in my gun on poorly drawn homemade targets. Was I really going to let this one wise Tom ruin my plans?
This thing, Tom, that's given us the slip a couple days in a row, had different plans. He was already out strutting. I come over the ridge, Johnny's belly crawling, hiding from this bird, trying to get behind this blind. Comes up the ridge. I set my bow down. I said, this is golden. My hunt is over for the day. I'm filming. One hen passes Johnny. Second hen passes Johnny. Tom's on a string. I said, this is happening right now. Johnny P pushes record on the camera. Tom's right in there tight on him, pushes the camera on the ground. My heart sunk. Bird takes flight. Johnny raises that 12 gauge and pulls him right out of the air, and it was golden.
Super excited, thankful, and fortunate to get a chance on this bird after hunting him all week. Got to give thanks to Dave Highsmith for kind of tag teaming this bird with me a little bit this week, but he ended up getting this thing on film from the ridge. I got to give credit to Longbeard and Whitetails for having the... But that tremendous feeling of accomplishment, knowing that Highsmith saved the day and filmed my harvest, still felt a little incomplete, as we hadn't found his bird from the first night. Hiking out the long way from the creek and recovering my bird, we found his, and it put an exclamation point on the experience, and the photo that followed now represents one of my greatest memories in the outdoors. Two great friends sharing the moment together. With meat in the cooler, it was time to unwind after the hard week of field. But in sharing the laughs that night, I became reflective once again on what I'd learned. While some hunts fall short of the mark, some friendships are just meant to be. So at the end of the day, whether it's chasing toms or living life, knowing you got somebody looking out for you makes all the difference in the world.
I don't care. I can lose on either side.
What
That's making me
B-roll.